Welcome to Board Game Archaeology. We play time-worn games from the past. I'm Hunter,
I'm Rob.
and today we're playing the Creepy Crawley Castle game.
Yep, the Creepy Crawley Castle game came out of Creepy number 55 from 1973. And like I said in previous episodes dealing with these kind of games, they probably appeared in Erie, Vampirella, Famous Monsters. And thanks again for all the people that have helped me find these. I'm only one shy now. We have the werewolf game to do in the future, but I think I'm missing one more, and I'm hoping to find that one.
The goal of the game is to be the first monster or victim to make it to the Castle of Safety.
Yep, and it comes with this awesome game board, and it's got Frazetta, San Julian, it's got, I think that's Ken Kelly and Basil Wolverton. So you've got some of the best fantasy artists on the planet during that time and still on this board. It also comes with a werewolf, Dracula, and mummy, and a victim. I brought another six-sided dice, how we've done in the past. It's got a six-point spinner on it, but it's really flimsy and stuff, and we're going with the dice again, and we'll talk about how we transpose the numbers. And it comes with six cards that are helpful in the game.
And essentially how it starts is typically it's a 4-player game or anywhere in between 2 and 4. And so you choose a monster or the victim, if that's what you want to do, and you rather try and race a monster to the finish, or if the other player is a victim, you devour the victim.
Yep.
Before they can escape to the Castle of Safety.
Yep. I did make another victim, a male victim, so there'd be multiple victims, so you'd have your choice. I thought it was fair. Also, as we get further in, we'll talk about, I think it would be a fun way to play with multiple victims.
Yeah, because in the foundation, it's a very colorful and very nice presentation. A lot of the tiles are very specific, and I kind of like that about it, where it's not, this kind of thing does this sort of thing. It's very specific and has a little blurb to go along with it.
Some are very tragic at the same time.
Yeah. How much you appreciate the blurbs, though, in functionality kind of differs. But I like the work that was put into it, the flavor text.
Right. So the idea is you're supposed to get the victim there before the monster catches you. I'm not 100% sure what happens when your monster supersedes your player outside of getting there before the player. And that really brings us to the heart of this game.
Yeah. And that's that it's very, very hard to get anywhere in it, especially if someone is the victim. Because the victim will get chased down almost
Instantly.
100% of the time.
Yep.
And even if you're both monsters, just getting past the first leg of the journey,
Yep.
The board is very, very harsh.
Yeah, as I played over and over and over just to test it and see what could. I have never gotten a victim past this middle point without changing the rules a lot. So instead of having to go back 2 or a go back 1, I just said 1 through 6. So we didn't have those go back things because you never roll 5s and 6s when you need them. But during this game, let me tell you, it's haunted. And all you roll is 5s and 6s, and you end up living in the start. It's impossible to get your character moved across this board.
Yeah, and God forbid if you're the wolf man, because there's a couple of spaces in the immediate. And again, this is a game where the maximum forward distance is supposed to be 4. So you have a 50% chance in your first roll. And that happens a lot for creatures. And at the end, there are a tile for at least each monster and victim, in probably more circumstances, that will straight up just off you from the game.
Right. Yeah, and then if you're a victim behind a monster and you land on a monster, are you automatically dead? So then I thought maybe if you roll 2 6-sided dice and see, but then you're already ended the game 2 minutes into it. So when it says hours of fun if your victim doesn't die because you're never going to make it to the end.
Or just hours of this loop.
Yeah,
and
it's
not
amazing.
Something to boast about.
And I played over and over, and we changed the rules, and I finally got it so I could get to the end of it. We're doing the 6s. Monsters do not get any cards on the free space. I had to change almost everything, and then you would still land on something that would kill you at the very end. You make it almost to the end, and you're out. You're out of the game. Thanks for rolling.
And it was funny because when being introduced to this game by you, you would say things about the rules. just facts about the rules written plain text. And I'd go, really? And then I'd look and I'd go, oh my God, why would you give the monster, like, if when I'm the werewolf, why should I have a card that's the silver bullet, the one thing that fights against me? Or like, it's a game with a lot of opportunity. And I think that we found the experience just a little bit frustrating because you see where something really good can
You
be.
want it to be good. It's got the art. It's got everything we love about a game. It's the unplayability. That said, I do believe there's a way to play with multiple victims and a monster, changing the rules all up, maybe covering up a couple of these blurbs, and making it something where there's a bunch of victims being chased by monsters.
Because a big part that I forgot to even go into because of the loop that you'll definitely get put in when you start the game, but victims are supposed to have 2 turns to get a head start on the monster, and even if they don't get 5 spaces ahead, like even if you just roll 2 that are just back 2 or whatever, you're supposed to be just given up to 5.
Right.
But even with that, you'll just move forward 2 steps and perish anyway.
And perish anyway.
So even though functionally in the game they're supposed to be given a head start, it never really works out that
Right.
way.
99% of the time we end up moving it. So if you don't get more than 5 on your first 2 rolls, you get to move to the first free area.
So when you have multiple victims, the idea is that you can have multiple people running out.
Right. And it would make it more fun.
Yeah, yeah. So there's definitely ways that a person could maybe like modify it. And because we were thinking up things on the spot where it was just like, oh yeah, if you take out the backwards movement, you could probably use more cards or at least limit the cards that characters are given. Your brain immediately goes to these places, but then you just kind of go back to the loop and you're like, ah.
Yeah, I think it's probably the one game that I thought was going to be the best in the group because of the art, because of the artist on it, the representation. That said, I haven't given up on it. I'm probably going to play with it, and once I figure out a way to do it, we might come back to this game if we can find out a really kick-butt way to play.
Give it a good redemption
Yeah.
run. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about us, check us out on our Facebook page. We're fairly active. We also post some old vintage games and stuff whenever we're doing something or art that we're doing or things like that. And don't forget to subscribe to us. Tell your family and friends. Put the dinner bell on there, that little thing that after you subscribe, it gives you an email that says we've got new videos up. But we try to do it every week.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.